Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Life Awakening. Let's talk about it. I am your hostess, Coach Tammy, out here in beautiful San Diego, California. I typically do this on Sunday. Not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before was my first YouTube Live in order to do my podcast. And I was driving back from Rancho Cucamonga from climbing to Cucamonga Peak. I did not make it to the peak. It was a long 10-hour hike that I did that day, like an all-day hike. I wanted to kind of like share my whole entire story about that and what today's podcast is really about. And I'll put the link to my audio podcast because this is going to be a little bit different. This isn't my audio. Obviously, I'm recording this so you can see me face to face and see my facial expressions and all that kind of good stuff. So I wanted to put this up for you guys and really give you a different kind of perspective. Today is about not discounting your journey. Quit discrediting the journey because you haven't attained the goal yet. And I want to start with the actual hike and then get into how these two things link together. So this was my second trip in my attempt to reach Cucamonga Peak. And I had read, trying to adjust my mic here, I had read online where the peak was clear and that where people had made it to the top, that it was going to take you a little bit longer, but it was passable, that you could do it without spikes or ice pick this time. There still was a good bit of snow, but it was passable and you could make it happen. So I'm like, okay, cool. And you have to remember, I'm hiking by myself. I've never been to the peak. I have no idea where it is that I'm going. I'm just following signs and following the trail and asking other hikers along the path, is this the right way? Like literally, that's what I did. Like I made it all the way up to the saddle. The saddle, if you're not here in California and you've never been out to Ice House Trailhead and hiked Cucamonga Peak or Telescope Peak or Timber Trail or any of that or Ontario Peak, the saddle is what I like to call the meeting place where you're coming from the Ice House Trailhead. You get there. This is where all of the other trails branch off. So that's where everybody sits. That's like their first stopping point for real to, refuel, get you something to eat, drink, find you a bush and use the bathroom if that's what you need to do, and then go off into whatever trail it is that you want to go to. So I get there and I'm asking people, and several people said, no, it's still too icy, you can't make it. And then other people have said, yeah, I made it last week and it was worse last week, you should be good this week. And then my friend Ivan, which I met on the trail last time back in April, he was like, yeah, you can make it. He was like, just make sure your footing is sure, take your time, don't rush through it, you should be able to do this. Well, when I got I'm heading up the trail and I get on the other side of the mountain going up toward Cucamonga Peak is absolutely breathtaking, which you can see. And once I get on the other side of the trail, I do have more cell phone service, which was awesome. So I had sent out my Google link so that some of my friends could follow me and make sure I was okay. And, it was kind of like a little safety net for me. If something happened, they could at least, follow that signal and hopefully find me if something were to happen. Which I didn't have any fear of that, but it made everybody else feel better. So yay, there's a win. So I'm trucking along. The elevation grade at this point is getting much higher, much quicker. So at the saddle, it's like I think 7,600 feet, maybe 7,700 feet there. Cucamonga Peak is 8,867, I think, at the peak. That's a big elevation grade in 2.5 miles, like a big jump from one to the other. And I had taken my Avocare vitamins. I was using my O2 Gold. I had my Spark. I had my muscle strength. So I had plenty of food, plenty of water. Everything was good. I had trail running shoes. I didn't have spikes. I did have my walking sticks. So when I would get to the snow, it's like put a stick down, put my foot beside the stick, dig out a place for my foot. And so like in some of those switchbacks, man, it took me a minute to get across the snowy places. So I ran across these two guys. They were coming down from the peak. And I asked him, I was like, so how long is it from here? And he was like, oh, you got at least an hour and a half because of the snow. And so now I'm looking at my watch and I was like, okay, so I still got an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours with the snow. I don't know where I'm going. And I've got to get back out of here before dark. My book cover is on the line. In my mind, my book, Dear Victim, It's Time for Us to Break Up Now, is launching July 4th. I want a solid 50 to 60 days of promotions with my book cover so people can see it and see my face holding my book, all that kind of good stuff, in order to launch my book on July 4th. I'm not changing my launch date. So in my mind, this is the day. May the 4th be with you. This is the day. I'm going to get this photo come hell or high water. I'm going to do whatever it is that I have to do to attain this goal. That is my mindset. That's what I'm doing. This is going to freaking happen. All right. So now I start going. He's like, when you get to this place and there's a Y, go to the right. That's going to cut off a lot of the snow that you have to do. Well, when I got there, it looked kind of sketchy and I wasn't sure that was the right place. Again, I don't know where I'm at. So I go to the left and guess what I hit? A whole bunch of snow that is difficult to travel, like, go back and forth against. And some of them, like, I couldn't see the trail. And, when it would switch back, I'm looking, I was like, okay, so there's no footprints here, which means I have to go back this way. Which way did they go? And I'm looking for footprints, trying to figure it out. I really have to kind of pat myself on the back for figuring it out because I had no idea. And I've never done this big a hike. Yes, I did it a month ago, but I didn't get this far. And I was following other people. I always made sure I had somebody in front of me and somebody behind me. So I kind of knew where I was at. And I had, somewhat of a safety net. This time I didn't have shit, man. Like I'm figuring it out and that's it. So I get to this other part, I get across this snowy part, and there's two other guys that are coming down. And I asked him, I was like, how much further have I got to go before I get to the top? And he was like, man, with the snow, you got at least another hour. And I was like, well, the last guys I talked to said I had an hour and a half from where I was at. And so they told me if I didn't peak by like 3:45, 4 o'clock, I needed to turn around because I forgot my headlamp at home. I couldn't find it. So I don't have a way to get back out of here. And I'm not sure coming down through this snow that I would feel comfortable if it started getting dark about how to get out of here. And he was like, yeah, he said by 4 o'clock, his name was Adam. He was super cool. So Adam, if you happen to be, wandering across YouTube and you see this, dude, you are the bomb.com. I appreciate you. So I told him, I was like, I really want to get to the peak. I want to take my book cover photo. It launches July 4th. Told him the title, yada, yada, whatever. He was like, well, do you have spikes? And I was like, no. And he was like, well, what size shoe do you wear? And I was like, well, 8.5 in a minute. He was like, here, put these on. And I was like, you can't give me your spikes. He was like, oh, I got like 6 pairs. So I'm happy to donate to the cause. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah. So like he helped me put them on and helped me stand up, make sure they were good. And they made a tremendous difference in getting up as far as I did. And so, he reiterated, if you have not peaked, if you have not reached the summit by 3:45, 4 o'clock at the absolute latest, you have got to turn around and go back. You have got to get out of here before dark. And I was like, okay. So I'm climbing. I see this group of 6. They basically said the same thing. Like, if you don't, like, you still got a good trek with the snow to get out of there. So they said, when I get to this point and I see the steps in the snow going straight up the mountain, that's the direction that I have to go. That's where the trail's at. And I'm like, okay. So I get to that point and I'm literally like high steps. So if you're in the gym and you have those boxes and you have to do like those high step ups, that's what I was doing. I was putting my sticks in the snow, digging out a place for my foot, doing a high step up and like pulling myself up. And I did like 8-10 steps going up that way. And so I stand up and I'm looking around and I can't find the trail. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. I don't know if I'm still supposed to be going straight up, if I'm supposed to turn right and go to the switchback because I was just going left. I'm totally lost. I look at my watch and it's 5 minutes to 4. I am totally deflated at this time. And I'm like, you know what? It's not worth it to try and go any further because, like, Tammy, do you really feel comfortable coming back down the same way that you went up? if it starts getting dark and you have to use the cell phone light on your phone to get out of here? And the answer was no. And it was a really quick answer of no. So I turn around, I start trying to go back down that little way. My foot slips. I have to dig my poles into the snow, dig my heels in with the spikes into the snow to stop me before I get down to the trail and slide off the side of the mountain. So that was confirmation that I did not need to have my ass in that snow, because I hate snow. And hiking in the snow is definitely not my preference. So I'm going back, and I find this little trail that goes down where I know that's going to like sit. I find the trail that the dude told me about to begin with going back. And I find this spot, and it's on the side of the cliff, and there's two rocks that jut out. And I was like, oh, maybe I can set up my tripod here. I can get at least a good enough shot. I think I can get a shot if I have the angle of my tripod right. And I feel safe getting out on that rock and getting back off that rock. Well, I run into two more passerby hikers, Josh and his wife and their dog. I don't remember their dog's name, but really sweet couple, and tell them the story, what I'm doing. And, I'm really disappointed that I didn't get my shot, but I'm going to try and get this right here. They're like, okay, well, like Josh is like, hey, I'll take your picture for you. So we go down, I'm standing on the edge of the cliff, but there's so much brush and some dead trees sitting around there. The rock on the left, I wasn't sure that I could get on it and get off of it safely. If I get on the rock on the right, I'm going to have to ask Josh to go back up to the trail, go over to the right, stand this way, get this angle, that angle. And I'm still concerned about time and getting out of there, because I still know I got some snow to go through to get back down. And so I took those pictures, and in that moment, they look good. So I get myself down, tell them thank you. I literally hustled my ass back down that mountain. I made it up to 8,200 feet. So I was so freaking close, like 670 feet elevation from the top. That's how close I was. Last time I only made it to 7,900 feet elevation. So there's a big difference in that. If you know anything about hiking and elevation, going up mountains or whatever, huge difference in that. And so I get back to the hotel. It literally, I was back down at my car by 6:30. And my car was the only one on the street then. And when I entered into the trailhead, there was lines of cars down both sides of the road. So mine was the only one there. I got the pictures of the sunset. My car is the only one there. It was, and I got some really good pictures on the way down. I probably could have made it out a little bit sooner if I was not stopping to take pictures of, I have this fascination with really cool trees and rocks and the textures and all that kind of stuff, and the sun coming through the trees and the shadows and all that. So I took some really awesome pictures, and there was a waterfall and a river, and so I probably could have made it out a little bit quicker if I was not stopping every 5 steps to take a damn picture. But I was just being in the moment. And so I get back to the hotel. There's a Denny's out in the parking lot. This Denny's has a bar in it, which was a total epiphany for me being from the South. I've never in my life seen a Denny's with a bar. I was like, oh my God, am I in the Twilight Zone? This is weird, but cool. So I'm sitting in the bar, order my food, and I start going through my pictures, and I see the pictures that Josh took. And I just I almost ugly cry. I knew in that moment that none of those pictures would work for my book cover. And I was just completely deflated. I was completely defeated in that moment. And I hate to even say this word, but I felt like a failure in that moment, because I did not reach my goal. I did not finish what I set out to do. I'm an athlete, man. I'm not good at losing. I hate to lose. I'm not good. Failure is not in my book, so that means that I have to go back. And in that moment, I wasn't thinking about, Tammy, you can go back. You still have time, because I had these blinders on of, you have to have 60 days of promotions with your book. No, I don't. I can set my own rules. And so my friend Lamar, I had sent him the pictures, and I told him, I was like, oh my God, I want to cry. I didn't get the picture. That's not it. And so he cropped it. He was like, what about this? And I'm like, it's not it. That's not it. It doesn't project the feeling that I want for the book cover. And he was like, do you realize what you just did? Like he really kind of had to rattle my cage a little bit. And we've been friends since 2000, and was living with Laura 2007, 2006, somewhere in there. I don't know. Like, wait, early 2000s, 6, 7, 8, somewhere in there. And like he had to like really rattle my cage and said, Tammy, do you realize what you just did? Like you were in the wilderness on the side of a mountain, hiking in the snow, which you almost slid off the side of the mountain. You did that shit by yourself. You realize how many women would not, number one, go hiking by themselves. And you didn't know where you were at. You had no idea what you were doing. You did the smart thing. You were safe. You made sure that you made it out so that you could hike another day. And even though that made sense at the time, I had so much momentum mentally and emotionally going in the hurt and the sadness and the disappointment of I didn't get my photo, that I heard him, but I didn't hear him, if that made sense. I totally discredited everything that I had accomplished on the side of that mountain and didn't even think about how awesome that hike was, how awesome that journey was. So like when the girl brought me my food, like I'm so choked up, I can't even tell her thank you for my food. Like I'm trying so hard not to ugly cry sitting at the bar. And ladies, you know what an ugly cry is, where, you got the big crocodile tears coming, you got snot running out of your nose. You're like, like I was on the verge of that, like for real. Like my eyes were all swollen and like watery. And like, I got a double shot margarita. Hell, that should have made me happy in that moment. Like I should have been able to drink that and been okay. And like, I just like, whatever. And so I did, I posted on Facebook Live in 10 minutes, like, cause I wanted to vent and I wanted to try and figure it out. And because that's my thing, just figure it out. And so I'm sitting in the hotel room and I'm doing my Facebook Live and I share this whole story. And I was like, well, maybe I just need to, stop Cucamonga Peak and find somebody else's picture and put it on my book cover and see if they'll let me give them photo credit and yada, yada, whatever. And maybe I just need to change the concept of my book and do something that change the concept of my book cover and do something different. And like, as soon as I said that, all of my friends on Facebook, which are awesome, by the way, are like, no, you are not changing the concept of your book cover. Like, you have to be on your book cover. You just got a lot of momentum going on right now, and you just need to sleep on it. Like, you got to think about what you just did. Like, you were awesome to even go out there by yourself. Like, most women are not going to, most guys are not going to go out there by themselves, especially if they have no survival tactics, no military background to know what to do in case of an emergency and all that other kind of stuff. I mean, I'm CPR certified, but that's not going to help me if I get hurt. So I really had to think about all that, and I could not pat myself on the back for the things it was that I had done in that moment. So I was very thankful for my friends. I have worked really hard to cultivate a circle of friends that are the wind beneath my wings. They are the people that support me in some of the hardest times of my life. They are the people that cheer me on when I need cheerleaders, but they're also the people that will rattle my cage and kind of, shake me like a bobblehead when I need to get my head on straight, when I'm not thinking clearly. And, several of them said, like, Tammy, you just need to sleep on it. It'll all be okay. You know what I mean? Just breathe, get you some rest. You'll have a clear head about it in the morning. And if you know anything about the law of attraction and you listen to Abraham Hicks, she'll tell you all the time, like, when you got too much momentum, go to sleep, take a nap, meditate. And I was so tired. I did 35,000 steps that day. I was exhausted. I was mentally and emotionally exhausted. All I wanted was a hot shower in my bed at that point. And my friend Mallory, known him from Birmingham days, way back when, he was like, hey, I got a friend that's a photographer in California. Let me put us all in the same chat room and let's see if we can see if she can help you in some kind of way. So we reached out. She is awesome. We had this great connection, and she was like, let me know what date. I've got an event I got to do on the 18th and 19th, so I can't do it that weekend, but she's only 45 minutes from the trailhead. So that works perfect for us. And I mean, I was just honest. I was like, hey, all I can give you right now is book cover photo credits, some life coaching, and I'll pay for your room and food while you're there. And she was like, deal, so that works. She's obviously not afraid of the hike. It's a 12-mile round trip hike. It is an all-day hike. My friend Ivan said, oh, I'm going with you. You're getting your book cover photo. So like I had these people come around me and say, hey, we're going to do this. So after I get done talking to them, it's like 10 o'clock now. I'm tired. I've been up since 5 o'clock, 10 hours out in the woods, got something to eat. So I'm in the shower and I just want silence. Like I want my mind to be quiet. I want my body to not feel anything because it is hurting at this moment. Like I'm letting the massage shower head hit me on my shoulders. And I did manage to get my mind quiet and get my monkey mind to shut up for a minute. And so I get this thought, your story's got to come full circle. And I was like, my story's got to come full circle. What is that? Like, I don't try to think about it too much. I figure there's more coming. So this is what I like to call downloads, but they're thoughts that come to you while your mind is quiet. So I just, go back in and just enjoying the shower beating down on my neck and my shoulders. And I get the thought again, and it says, your story's got to come full circle. Your mom's birthday. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense. So my mom's birthday is May 24th. That's on a Friday. I can drive up Friday night, go hiking on Saturday. Well, Friday night we can have dinner and we can give a toast to mom. So why that's significant is my mom is a big part of my book. And with the book being Dear Victim, it's time for us to break up now. When I say my mom's a big part of the book, she was the catalyst to me living in a victim mentality for a really long time. I was sexually abused by my mom and my biological father for the first 7 years of my life. And then I was raped by my stepdad at 13, went through a severe depression in 2009, where me and a bottle of sleeping pills had a stare down. And I really wasn't sure who was going to win at that moment in time. And I was perfectly okay with the sleeping pills winning, because I really just didn't want to breathe anymore. I didn't care if I took another breath. I wanted the voices in my head, which were my voices, telling me what a terrible person I was. I wanted them to be quiet, and the only time I didn't hear them was when I was asleep. And my friend Jason called me that day and talked me out of it. He had no idea how bad that day was going to be. I hadn't talked to him in 3 months when that had happened. So there's no way anybody could have known. I didn't tell anybody. Like, I kept that to myself. Like, I wanted to make sure I was going to be successful. And evidently, God, source, higher power had a different plan, and he wanted to make sure I was still here. So Jason called, kind of got in my ass, rattled my cage, talked me out of it. And, I still had a hard time for the next 2 years trying to figure out who I was, or if I could teach me to be a different person, if I could teach me to be a better person, if I could change my thought patterns, if I could get rid of the negativity in my head. All of those were things that needed to happen if I was not going to die, because I knew if I didn't change, I would die. I wasn't sure that I would get a phone call a second time if me and a bottle of sleeping pills was having a stare down. So having the realization that my mom allowed the childhood sexual abuse to happen and participated was a hard thing for me to deal with for a long time. We didn't talk for several years, and I was able to forgive her and allow her back in my life. I love my mom very much. She passed away in 2013, and I miss her mama hugs, man. She has some of the best, like, big bear mama hugs. And, it terrified her, some of the things I did, because I kind of live fearless, as you can tell. I don't let too much stand in my way if I want to do something. And, she hated it every time I got on a plane. And so there's a lot of fun things. Mom was super superstitious, and no black cats, all that kind of stuff. And all this is in my book. And so, the name of my book, Dear Victim, it's time for us to break up now. She's all the way through my book. She is the reason that I went through a lot of the things that I went through, even the positive things. Like, I used the negative things that I learned as a child to map out what I wanted in my adult life. I wanted to make sure that my children, if I decided to have any, never went through any of the things that I did. And I succeeded in that. I wanted to graduate high school because she never did. I succeeded in that. I wanted to graduate college because she never did. I succeeded in that. I've had a good life, and I had to think about it for a second when I got out of the shower, and I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I had to give myself some grace, man. Like, there was snow on that mountain, and I really did accomplish something amazing out there. Like, being out in nature for 10 hours. And I will tell you, for the majority of that time, I had no music in my ears. I was just listening to the sounds of the music. And like, I was standing on the side of the mountain, as I'm already on the Cucamonga Peak Trail, standing on the side of the mountain, and you can hear the wind come off one of the other mountains and come down through the trees and come up the mountain where I was at, and then you'd feel it. And I remember that from being back home in the South, like you could hear the wind before it got to you. And it was just, I love that sound. And you hear the birds, and, you hear the trees blowing in the wind. And then the view from on top of that mountain was absolutely freaking breathtaking, dude. Like, just God and his beautiful wonder of what he created on this earth. It's just, if you've never been out to that trail hiking and you're ever in California, I highly recommend you going out there, because it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And that's why I couldn't stop taking pictures on the way out. But what I also had to like pat myself on the back for is because I remember a time where I couldn't be alone with my thoughts. Like, that's how I had an 8-lane super highway of negativity, like triple decker, man. Like, every thought that came out of my head was negative. Like, if I was posting on Facebook, it was 60-1 negative to positive. And I needed to find a different way. I needed to find a positive road, and I had to build that road. I had to cultivate those thoughts. I had to start flipping what I saw in my life and finding the wins in the difficult times in life. And it's possible for anybody. It really is. Is it easy? Depending on how deep you are into your negativity, how deep you are into your depression or the things or anger or whatever, it's going to be a challenge, especially if your circle of friends, like what I talked about earlier, or your circle of influence is not the type of people that think positive. Birds of a feather flock together. So if you're depressive, or you have those depressive thoughts, or you have those debilitating or negative thoughts, chances are the people around you are in the same boat. They have the negative thoughts. They're bitching, moaning, groaning about life and everything going on, but they're not doing anything to fix it. So know that when you start changing your thoughts and you start taking another path, that your circle is going to change. They're not going to know how to talk to you because you can't hear them anymore. Like, when they start doing all that stuff, you're going to throw something positive in it, and they're going to reject it and be like, you know what, I'm going to let you do you. I'm going to go this way. Now, depending on where they are in their journey, because everything that you say is going to be filtered through their lenses of what it is that they're going through. And that was something that I really had to figure out. Like, I completely moved my location. Living in Alabama, all I had ever known was hurt, pain, and suffering. And my kids still live there. I go back to visit, but I can't stay there long because energy never dies. And all that negative energy that I felt when I lived there, and it's familiar spirits, man. All that negative energy that I felt when I lived there, it comes and tries to find me. And I'm like, I got to go. Like, if my kids and my grandkids and my family didn't live there, I would probably never set foot back in that state again, ever again. That's just real. And then I moved to Atlanta, and I loved Atlanta. Atlanta was great, but I got complacent. Like, I had built a great personal training business. It was awesome, but I felt stagnant, and I knew what being stagnant led to, and I wasn't okay with that. And so when I got the vision to move to California, I came. I'm like, yes, yeah, like less than 90 days, and I had sold all my stuff, packed my shit in my car, and I was out. Those were the best things I ever did, was change my location, changed the people around me. And I don't want to say I lost any friends, man. My circle changed. Like, some of the people that I used to hang out with, they're still doing the same shit that they were doing back fucking 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's what makes them happy. Good for them. But I'm not in that circle anymore. I got people that reach out and say, hey, do you ever come back to Birmingham? Let's hang out. Nope. I'm good. I come to see my family and I'm out. Like, I don't go to the bars. I don't go out night clubbing. I don't hang out. I don't do those things because they don't make me happy. And I know where those things lead to. And that's not conducive to the life it is that I'm trying to build. People that do that, more power to you. If that's what makes you happy and you're good being on that merry-go-round right now, that's not a merry-go-round that I want to jump on again. Like, when I was in that life, I did a lot of drugs. I did a lot of alcohol, and I made a lot of stupid decisions based on where I was in my life. And so getting back to discrediting the journey, I had to really, after I got that thought of, your story's got to come full circle, me going back on May 24th and 25th to get my book cover photo, that means I can completely close that chapter of my life, close that book of my life, and I can start a new one. Everything about that book was the journey that I took with my mom. From the love that she showed me as a child when she wasn't high and drunk, because she was a great mom when she wasn't on her drugs. She never beat her demons, not even all the way up to the day she died. But when she was sober, she was like mom of the year. She never missed a sporting event or any of that kind of stuff. And all this is in my book, and I don't want to give too much of it away, but I want you to have a feel for what it is, living through all of that and becoming the person that I am, scattering her ashes in Norway when I went on a leadership retreat. I thought that was the final chapter of my journey with my mom, setting her free from the box that she had lived in her whole entire life. And I really believe that in that meditation, that was her speaking to me, Tammy, like, this is going to finish it. This is it. You can finally move on. You'll be standing on top of the world and you'll know that it's finished. And I believe that. And so I really had to look back on my journey, not only for the mountain hike, but everything that I've been through up to this point, and pat myself on the back. And it's like, Tammy, like, you've done an amazing thing. You've changed the trajectory of your family. You've completely changed your history from what it was going to be. If I had stayed in that depressive state, I probably wouldn't be alive right now. There wouldn't have been another phone call, and I wouldn't have made it out. And the hurt and the pain that I would have caused my family, because I didn't get to see my grandkids raised. They would have never got to know me, the me that I am, and the things that I do fearlessly, and cultivate that for them. Well, hey, if my Gigi can do this, I can do this. If my Gigi can move at the age of 50 and create this awesome life, and she built this, and she became the first millionaire in our family, and she did this, like, I know I can do anything. If my Gigi did it and she did it in her 50s, then I can do this. That's what I want. Like, I'm changing the legacy of my family. I broke all of the bondage that was before 2010. Was it easy? Hell no. Was it worth it? Hell yes. I wouldn't change the things that I went through, because I had to grow into the person that I am. I had these big dreams. I had no idea how they were going to manifest. I had no idea how I didn't even know how to make steps to make them happen. And I think that's the one thing that I want to impart on you guys as well, is that, so you ain't got to have it all figured out in the moment that you have the dream. The dream will evolve, and the things that need to happen in order for that dream to come to life will all come about. They'll all fall into place. It'll seem like synchronicities. It'll seem like chance, but it's not. It's God's source, higher power, universe coming in and putting people, places, and things and circumstances and situations in your life to help you become the person that you need to be in order to attain that goal. Evidently, there was something else that I needed to learn outside of what this needs to come full circle. This needs to be on your mom's birthday weekend. And in order to finish that book, but there was something else that I needed to do. Maybe it was just remembering that I needed to celebrate the journey, because I was not paying attention to the journey. I had blinders on. I was focused on the goal. And I'd forgotten about the journey, and the journey is so freaking important. Like, every day is a blessing. We ain't promised tomorrow, man. Like, none of us make it out alive. None of us make it out alive. I saw this one tree. Half of the tree was alive and half the tree was dead. How many of you are walking around and just existing, but you're dead on the inside? It's a real thought. So many people die at the age of 20, and they're not buried till they're 70. Is that you? Do you forget to enjoy the journey? Do you forget how to dream? Do you forget how to set goals? Maybe you were never taught to set goals, and we were never taught to set goals. They didn't teach us that in school. They didn't teach us about finances. They didn't teach us how to build wealth. They didn't even talk about wealth. They taught you how to balance a damn checkbook. That was it. They didn't teach you about investments. They didn't teach you about entrepreneurship. They didn't teach you that you didn't have to go to college in order to be successful. They didn't teach you that you didn't have to go to college to be a millionaire. They didn't teach you that other people's opinion in your life matters not. So this is probably going to sting a little bit, but I'm going to say it anyway. If you've got folks in your life that are trying to drag you down because you're working towards your goals, what you do is you escort their little happy ass right back up to the nosebleed section where they belong, because they ain't got no business in your life. They didn't pay for a VIP opinion in your life. And I'm going to say this too. This is probably going to sting a little bit. But if you don't have a VIP opinion of you, take your fucking opinions of you and you take them up to the nosebleed section. Do whatever it is that you have to do to drop them off. And then you come back to the VIP section, your stage of life, and you set up what it is that you need to set up to make you a better you, to get you to the dreams and goals it is that you need to get to, that you want to get to, the things that set your soul on fire. What is it that you're passionate about? What is it that makes you just sing from the top of your lungs, that makes you want to be a better person? What is it that you want to leave your family? What is it that you want to leave your kids? What does your legacy look like? You want me to really rattle your cage? Why don't you do this? Why don't you sit down and write out your own eulogy? Sit down and write out what you want people to say about you when you're gone. If somebody wrote out a eulogy for you right now, what would they say? Would it be something you want to hear? Think about that. If it's not, what are you going to do to change that? Why don't you write out what you want people to say about you and then go become that person? That's a pretty deep little exercise right there. Do you love you? Can you look yourself in the mirror and say your name? Like, this is basically a mirror because I'm looking at a camera and I can see me. I can look in here and I can say, Tammy, I love you unconditionally and you are the fucking bomb.com. I remember a time when I could not say that. Like, I would look in the mirror and try to say, I love you. And I could not, like, just looking in the mirror, knowing that that's what I was going to say, my eyes would well up with tears. I would get choked up. It would take me almost 5 minutes to get it out. But the feeling that I had was not good. And I'm like, damn, Tammy, you don't even love you? If you don't love you, how do you expect somebody else to love you? Everything that you do, everything that we do, has to start with us. It has to start with you. You got to make you a better person. You have to grow. You have to teach you how to be a better you. Can you do it on your own? I did. Does that scare you? It scared the hell out of me. Would you prefer to have a coach? Would you prefer to have somebody help you and shine a light on the path and help you take the right step? Now, you're still going to have to do the work. They can just kind of guide you through there. It's what I do. If that's something that interests you, reach out. Leave a comment down in the comment section. Send me an email. All my contact information is on my YouTube channel. I love you guys so much. And this YouTube journey is new to me. I'm still figuring it out. So I hope that you got some value out of this. I hope that what I said made sense. I hope that it resonated with you in some way, and that you'll take one step today that will make your tomorrow better. Don't look backwards if it makes you sad. Look forward and plan something better. I can talk about my past because I've healed from it already. And I can talk about it with strength, and I can talk about it with strength and talk about the lessons that I learned from my past. Sometimes when you're still caught up in your victim and that victim mentality, and you're still blaming people for where you are in your journey, it's hard to find the wins in that. And that's where a coach comes in. I'm tough, man. Like, if you listen to my podcast, it's called Life Awakening. It's on all the major podcast channels, iTunes, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Spotify. I'm on all of those. I'm also on Podcoin. So if you want to check out Podcoin, you can look for Life Awakening. Use the sign up. Use the code word Life Awakening, all one word. You'll get 3 extra Podcoin, and you can get paid to listen to me yap. So that's awesome. But if you're still caught up in that victim, and you're just now in the beginning stages of wanting to change and wanting to break up with that inner victim, I would encourage you, even if it's not me, find a coach, find a counselor, take the steps. It'll be worth it. If you want to know what books to read, reach out. I'll tell you, I'll give you some books to start with. And it's going to require a level of vulnerability and honesty with yourself in order to make that change. It's going to require, most likely, for your circle of friends to change. And it will happen more naturally. You're not going to have to be ugly and say, oh, you can't be my friend anymore, although that might be necessary for a couple of folks because they won't get the hint. But as you grow, if they're not on the growth path, they'll be here and you'll be here, and they're going to have to figure out how to talk to you. And that is a really good place to be, because now they can't drag you down and beat you with experience. So I don't want to keep you guys on here all night, but I love you so much. I will put the links to, actually the link to my podcast is already on my channel, so you can just hit that. The link to my Facebook is on my channel. You can hit that. Follow me on all social media. You can hit hashtag Callie Tammy. You can find me anywhere. Also on Instagram, hashtag Callie Tammy or Tammy_Loftus. I am there as well, or TammyLoftus.com. All of those places are great to reach me. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear your thoughts and comments about what you thought about quit discrediting your journey just because you haven't attained the goal. Yeah. Enjoy the journey, man. Happiness is a choice, and the journey is part of your growth. And go outside, take a big breath in, feel the fresh air, let the sun shine on your face, and have a great day. I'll see you guys next week. Bye-bye now.